Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus Dead or Alive video. As you can see from my previous video, Tecmo Team Ninja did pretty well with Dead or Alive 5 released on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 in 2012. But of course, they weren't done there. They were developing a portable version of the game so you could take your Dead or Alive 5 action anywhere, and that's where, in 2013, Dead or Alive 5 Plus came into play for the PS Vita. Now, of course, this comes on the little PS Vita card, and there's nothing at all that came in the case. Now, this game is really similar to the console version. The only downfall is it's a little bit downgraded when it comes to graphics because, of course, you're not going to have as much power from your PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 as you will from this. This is the White Assassin's Creed Liberation, I think the game was called, console. I got this and I didn't get the game or the memory card. Eventually I may get that game, but it's one of those things. It's not a huge thing for me, but the game just goes in the top here. Of course, this game was also available digitally if you like to download your games, and it just goes right into the system here. Putting it in backwards. There we go. And then of course you just press your button here. And there goes our PS Vita. Now I have my system modded with what's called the Henkaku custom firmware deal. You can probably see my camera on the viewfinder here. And whenever you insert a PS Vita game, it'll do this like preparing your game, please wait thing. And then here's our game here. I'm going to turn the volume up a bit so you can hear it a little bit better. Since what I want to do is show you the big exclusive feature in here, which is called the Touch Battle, which was never available in any other game. Basically, it's kind of like if Dead or Alive 5 were like a mobile game, and you had to play it with a touchscreen, that's basically what Touch Battle is. I've played it a few times, but I'll show you it really quick here, and we'll take a look at what Touch Battle is like. I know it's one of those like your mileage may vary things. Some people will probably love Touch Battle, whereas other people not so much, but here is, actually it's Touch Fight is what they call it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Same selection of characters as the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 version. Graphics look fairly similar, but we'll take a closer look at that in the second part of this video. Let's go ahead and fight Kasumi. And the only thing I don't like about this is there's no like arcade mode for Touch Fight. You just have like single battles. Let's just do something simple. Let's do like the training ring here. That's one thing I really wish they would have implemented here. And what I will do is once it gets into the battle here, as unfortunately the instructions here don't display on the screen nearly long enough to understand what's going on, but here's your touch controls. Basically, you tap to strike your opponent, tap repeatedly for a combo. Tapping a downed opponent will perform a ground attack. You flick up will launch the opponent with a great chance for combo. So basically it's like your launcher type move. You flick down will perform a downward strike on your opponent. The opponent will sit down if hit. Left and right will spin your opponent either direction, and it will leave your opponent back turned if they're hit properly. Tapping with two fingers will perform a hold, so if you want to do a counter, that will do that. And pinch the screen, you perform a hold, which is really hard to do in my opinion because your enemy keeps on attacking you. Holding two fingers down will guard. And then it just says critical burst, land a 5-hit combo, so I guess that just happens randomly if you land a 5-hit combo. When your health is low or less than half, hold your finger on your opponent to trigger the power blow. Power blows can only be used once per round. But yeah, that's your basic gist of how to play this crazy touch-based battle here. So I'm gonna do my best here to and as you can see, it's basically playing Dead or Alive with a touchscreen. And if you want to, I'll probably show you that if I beat Kasumi here really quick, which it looks like I'm going to. Let's see if we can throw her. Yeah, there we go. I'll show you the screen being shown in the vertical orientation if I'm able to. There you go, now we defeated Kasumi. I'll do another match here really quick. The only problem here is if you notice the audio getting a little bit low at times your fingers can easily go over the speakers on this because literally they're right below the controls. But what we're gonna do, I'm gonna be Ayane again, and let's fight Tina. No, I want to fight Tina. Here she is. Sometimes on this screen, character portraits can look like different characters if you're not careful. But what I'll show you in this next part is the vertical orientation on the screen. That's the only other thing you can do. Let's do that fancy like biolab part. Yeah, there you go. And of course the same setup, but this time, as I said, we're going to do the vertical orientation so it'll really feel like a phone game. And you'll notice on this orientation, our life bars are on the bottom of the screen and the top. Your opponent being on the top and you being on the bottom. Okay, I must have been down there. Ah. Okay, she's really taking care of me here. I definitely have to say, as opposed to other like ways to play Dead or Alive game, this is kind of one of those ways. It's a real novelty, and it's kind of fun, like to try it once or twice and let your friends take a look at it. But it's one of those things you're not going to be like, oh my god, I'm going to like only play Touch Battle for Dead or Alive 5. I wonder if I change the orientation, if it will change. Yeah, it will. Yes, it actually will do that in real time. I know during the fight it will, but I wasn't sure if like at the end screen here. But yeah, as you can see, Touch Battle is kind of a touch fight, as they call it, is a fun little thing here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to insert the PlayStation Vita card into my PlayStation TV, which I actually have sitting on top of the PS4, and use my PS4 controller, which, if you didn't know, let me put this down for a second. If you didn't know, you can actually use a PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 4 controller on a PlayStation TV. All you have to do is plug in the respective USB cable into the back of the PlayStation TV, which will sync them, and then you can use either controller. And honestly, I've gotten very used to this controller recently, so it's really cool I can play the PlayStation TV. So we're going to go ahead and put the memory card and the game into the PlayStation TV, and I'll show you a bit of a closer look at the graphics in some arcade mode play. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, and as you can see here, now I have my PlayStation TV connected to my TV. And one thing I will definitely have to say is, if you're not familiar with like the PlayStation TV, it's really strange for the first time having the PS Vita connected to your TV and having this really like big bubble interface on your TV, because, you know, it was something that was made for a portable. It wasn't made for like your TV viewing, but then they made the PlayStation TV, which is currently sitting on top of my PS4 because I'm borrowing its HDMI. And yeah, you have this portable interface on your TV. If you can see up in the corner here, there it shows the Dead or Alive 5 Plus card. So we're just going to go down here. And there's like a silly music that'll play, but it's best to turn that off because it gets annoying really fast if you don't. But here's our Dead or Alive 5 Plus. And then we're just going to get right into this, and what I will do is I will go to some captured footage of this so you can get a better idea of what the graphics look like. The only bit of a caveat here is this game will only display in 720p on your TV. It will not display in 1080 because that's the limitations of the PlayStation TV, but hey, it's kind of cool you can play a portable game on your TV, so that's always a nice little thing. But what I was going to say now is the only reason I can put my memory card in the PlayStation TV and use the same one is I have that mod installed. The only downfall is it will like rearrange your icons because the PlayStation TV has that big off button one, since there is no like physical button to turn it off and on the PlayStation TV. Well, there's one on the back, but it's kind of inconvenient to have to do that every time you want to turn off what's basically a console. But enough of me blabbing on. Let's get right into this and take a closer look at the graphics of Dead or Alive 5 Plus for the PS Vita / PS TV. Okay, and of course you're greeted with the Dead or Alive 5 screen, along with all the accompanying logos like Koei Tecmo Games, then the Tecmo logo, and of course the Team Ninja thing, which luckily you can actually like skip because it helps a lot. But if you've seen the console version of Dead or Alive 5, you'll be familiar with this interface. And now I normally select normal because honestly, the easy and the very easy modes tend to be a little bit too easy. And as you can see, I know you probably may have seen this from the footage earlier, but all of the characters from Dead or Alive 5 have returned in Dead or Alive 5 Plus, including like Genfu and Alpha 152. So you can play all those characters. And of course, since this was released just after Dead or Alive 5, you won't get any of your Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate or Dead or Alive 5 Last Round characters. And now, as you can see, as compared to the console versions of Dead or Alive 5, this game actually holds up pretty well. The only place I really notice any kind of like difference in graphics fidelity would be if you were to look at like the ground or any of like the background textures. They take a little bit of a hit when it comes to their quality. I would honestly compare it to like if you look at a PC game, and let's say just for instance the PlayStation 3 / Xbox 360 version is your high setting for the background textures. This is kind of like your medium high / medium setting for the background textures. They still look pretty good. They just don't look as good, but it's not like a night and day difference when it comes to the quality of the actual texture. Now, to give you a bit more detail here, this game actually came out in March 2013 in all regions. North America was March 19th, Europe was March 22nd, and Japan was March 20th. And of course, just as I had made mention in the beginning there, it was released on a PlayStation Vita game card, which is what you saw me having in the beginning there. And of course, it was released as a digital download for people who want to spend a lot of money on those terribly overly expensive PlayStation Vita memory cards, which are, they're basically like a micro SD card, but they have proprietary pins, so you can't just like plug one into a computer. I believe at this point there exists ways to replace the micro SD card, well, with a micro SD card. Now, if you see the tracks of the tank there, you'll see what I'm talking about when I said, like, slightly lower texture quality, but it's not too bad. But what I was saying is there's ways to replace the card with a micro SD card, and if you use a PlayStation TV like I am for the footage you're seeing right now, if you have a modded system, you can actually plug in a USB flash drive and load, or even a USB hard drive, and load games off of that, which actually makes life a lot easier, so you don't have to find one of these, at this point, still proprietary cards for the PlayStation Vita, because nothing else uses the memory card that the PlayStation Vita used. Now, just in case you're wondering, the way that I'm actually straight capturing the PlayStation TV is I bought this HDMI splitter from Amazon. I think it was like $17. And you just run the PlayStation TV through the HDMI splitter, and it actually strips out the HDCP, which allows me to connect it directly to the Game Capture HD by Elgato without having to worry about any of that silly copy protection on the video signals. So that's how I can actually do a straight capture of this. And of course, that's another reason why this video was delayed a little bit, because I had some of those really cheap HDMI to VGA adapters. They're like those little like dongle type things that plugged into the HDMI port. But unfortunately, kind of like an NES on a chip, they would have lines through the screen, and it would look really bad. So that's why I kind of held off in making this video, because I just didn't want like nasty noise going all through the screen when I had this captured footage. And now if you see Li Feng there, she's wearing the pre-order bunny costume, which the cool part about this game is when you went from Dead or Alive 5 to Dead or Alive 5 Plus, as long as you sync the same PlayStation Network account with the game, you could actually import all of your save content. So that's how I was able to get my Dead or Alive 5 pre-order bunny costumes and import them into the PlayStation Vita, which is, I think what they called it was like cross DLC. And another cool feature when this was like the end-all and be-all of Dead or Alive games is it also had a feature called cross-save. So let's say in Dead or Alive 5 Plus I unlocked something, I could actually do a cross-save and it would hit Dead or Alive 5, the original version on PlayStation 3, and that same thing, or that same record that I did, would then migrate its way onto Dead or Alive 5, and vice versa. So let's say if I did an arcade mode record in Dead or Alive 5 on the PS3, I can then go to cross-save on the PlayStation Vita and import those records, which was a really cool feature at the time. Of course, the unfortunate part of Dead or Alive 5 Plus is it never got any of the Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate or Dead or Alive 5 Last Round updates. So basically, if you see like a plain old vanilla version of Dead or Alive 5, excluding the Training Plus mode and the touch fight, it didn't get any additional things that Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate and On did. So more or less, after its update was done and it had its latest update, that's all this game will ever have. You can't bring any of the new characters that were added in Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate. You can't do any like the fixes or the patches or the new stages or anything. But it's still kind of nice to have like this portable version of a normally console game, which, as I had discussed a little bit earlier, aside from I think the models received a slight downgrade because they're not as sharp as the console version, and the background textures look a little bit not as good. It's a pretty serviceable version for one on a portable. And I will say right now, Stage 6, which of course, if you've seen any of my videos, you know that mirror matches are a bit pet peeve of mine, and since this is the 2 fights before the last one, the difficulty's a little bit hard here. So I ended up losing a few times to Mila here, so that's why if you look very closely at between this match and the last one, the music kind of starts abruptly instead of being just like beginning. It just kind of starts in the middle of it. And then at stage 8 I lost quite a few times, so that'll have a bit of a splice, but that one's a little bit less noticeable. And if you see what Mila did right there, you have to press a button when you're falling off a cliff there, but if you don't, you'll just fall off, and your character won't grip the cliff, giving the other character a chance to do like a throw or a strike. And if you remember in stage 1, when Rig ended up blocking my strike, and that's why we both just landed, kind of like in the last video, I believe I discussed that a little bit too. The only thing I really don't like in this game, I may have discussed it, especially when fighting the AI enemies in higher than normal difficulty, or even in normal difficulty, is the AI can terribly overuse the power blows. Like, they'll almost be dead, and they will use their critical, they will use their power blow and everything, and they will use that to cheat their way to victory. Because honestly, you're like, oh my god, I almost beat them, and all of a sudden, yeah, once that power blow animation starts, you can't get out of it. So that feels a little bit cheap, and I always thought to myself, it'd be cool if there was a way to turn that off. But it really doesn't ruin the game. You just have to like kind of beat them at their own game. And that was one of those like special power blows. And this area, which is the lower part of the first level, it kind of demonstrates a bit more how the texture quality has suffered a little bit because it's running on the PS Vita / PS TV. But as I had made mention earlier, it's not like a make or break. The game still looks really good. I would attribute it to kind of like some of those higher end arcade games that had to be lowered to be a console version. Whereas they had to just make a couple compromises to take this from a full-featured PS3 down to a PS Vita. But I would say especially when you look at it on the PS Vita screen, considering if you look at my 55-inch TV, you can notice all the blemishes when it comes to these graphics. Whereas if you look at the little PS Vita screen, you don't notice as many blemishes. And of course, if you're watching this on a really large screen, like a TV, you're going to notice all the graphical blemishes. But as I was saying, on the little OLED on the PS Vita, everything like looks as if it's identical to the console version. And just like in the console version, Akira, Sarah, and Pai-chan make their guest appearance in this game as well. And just like in the console version, Sarah Bryant only has an English audio track, which I know in the original Dead or Alive 5 video, I probably made mention that I thought that was just kind of weird. And Akira, Yuki, and Pai-chan do not have an English audio track, so they will always speak in Japanese. But that's just how the Virtua Fighter 5 characters are. But basically, Dead or Alive 5 Plus, it's a great game. If you want to take your Dead or Alive 5 experience portable, it's a really nice thing to enjoy. And you can really have a good time playing this game. And what I did here is I just panned around the character model. As you can see, the model still looks really good. And it doesn't really look like all jaggy, but on the TV it does. On the Vita screen, it really does not. Well, this has been another Game Nexus Dead or Alive video, and I shall see you later.